Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a question that has sparked revolutions and really shaped the modern world. Who gets to control a nation's treasure? It seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? A country's natural resources should belong to that country. But for centuries, the answer has been way more complicated. So why on earth would a nation willingly hand over the keys to its own treasure chest? Okay, so the starting point is pretty simple, and it's a foundational concept in international law. The oil in the ground, the minerals in the mountains, it's all considered the property of the nation. It belongs to the people, and the government's job is to act as the steward, managing it on their behalf. But here's the catch. Owning the treasure and actually being able to get to it, well, those are two totally different things. The wealth might be there, sure, but it's often locked deep underground. And this is where the dream crashes into a very harsh reality. Getting these resources out isn't just a matter of digging a hole. We're talking about a billion-dollar gamble that requires cutting-edge technology, mountains of cash, and incredible engineering feats like deep-sea drilling rigs and pipelines that span continents. So you can see how this created a huge dilemma, especially for developing nations. I mean, they could be sitting on top of an absolute fortune in natural resources, but without the capital or the technical know-how, that wealth was completely out of reach. All right, so to try and solve this problem, a special kind of deal was born, an agreement between the governments that had the resources and the private companies that had the means to get them. This deal is called a concession, and you can think of it like a really, really long-term lease. The government basically says, okay, we'll let you be the only one to drill for oil in this massive region for the next 50 years. And in return, the company pays the government, usually through a percentage of the revenue, we call those royalties, or through taxes on their profits. For a very long time, this was the go-to playbook for the entire global resource industry. And on paper, the whole idea was that everybody would benefit. The company makes a profit for taking on all the risk and doing the heavy lifting, and the country gets income and development it just couldn't get on its own. A perfect partnership, right? Well, not always. Let's take a look at how this perfect partnership often turned into a very, very unequal relationship. So the theory was a partnership of equals. But the reality, it was usually a total mismatch. I mean, just picture it. You've got these giant multinational corporations with armies of lawyers on one side, and on the other, you have a developing nation absolutely desperate for that investment. The result was almost inevitable, deals that were incredibly one-sided. And that power imbalance, right there, was at the heart of the growing controversy. A smaller, developing country often felt like it had almost zero bargaining power. The choice they faced was often between a lopsided deal or no deal at all. Not much of a choice, is it? So, as time went on and these deals played out, citizens and leaders in these countries started asking some really tough questions. They look at the massive profits being reported by these foreign companies, then they'd look at their own cut, and the numbers just didn't seem to add up. And that feeling just grew and grew. Eventually, all that simmering resentment just boiled over. Some governments started to think, wait a minute, why are we just asking for a bigger slice of the pie? Maybe we should own the whole bakery. And this line of thinking led them to a pretty radical conclusion. And this is a really crucial point. This wasn't just about trying to renegotiate for a slightly better percentage. For some, the trust was completely broken. They saw these agreements as fundamentally unfair and exploitative, so they decided it was time to take a much more dramatic step. The ultimate power move a nation can make? It's called nationalization. It's when a government just takes over a private industry. We saw this happen in a really big way in places like Iran in the 1950s with its oil industry. It essentially meant telling the foreign companies, hey, thanks for building all this, now it's ours. The government would seize the oil wells, the mines, the refineries, the whole shebang, and put it all back under state control. But here's the thing. That action solves one problem while creating a whole host of new ones. It answers the question of who owns the treasure, but it opens a brand new chapter of challenges. Can the nation actually run these incredibly complex operations by itself? And will other countries or companies even be willing to do business with them in the future? It leaves us with a final crucial question that has literally defined the fate of many nations.